Good morning, everybody, and welcome to What's Growing On. I'm Dorothy Dorton with AARP Alabama, and as always, we have with us Tarrant Lanier with Victory Teaching Farms here in Mobile. Hey, Tarrant, how's it going?
Good morning, Dorothy. Going good. How about you?
Doing great. Just getting ready to get over this rain, but hopefully it's helping our gardens out. So and not washing them away.
Exactly.
And speaking of, we do hope everybody is safe and sound from the storms this weekend. I know they got pretty scary, and our thoughts are with the folks in Bruton that got a pretty sizable tornado up there. So we're thinking about y'all. All right, so today, folks, we are going to be talking about the naturally clean home. And this is really exciting. We've got a lot of great stuff for you today. Lots of recipes for things to make to keep your home clean and fresh. And so we'll be posting those in the comments right after the broadcast. And we're going to start with talking, I say that. Tarrant is going to be talking about plants that kind of can help purify the air. And so, and she's got one in the background right there, that fern. And what we do want to say is that some of the plants we're going to talk about, they might be toxic to your pets. So you just want to make sure before you're placing them in your home, that they're out of the way of your pet, or they can't get to them, or, if you want to just Google any of the plants you see today to see if they're safe for your pets, we always recommend that. But like I said, Tarrant is going to be talking about, we're going to start talking about some of the toxins that can be in your home. So, Tarrant, tell us about what's going on in the air in our house.
Okay, yeah. So you wouldn't necessarily think that you had chemicals and things in the air in your home, especially if it's things that you don't necessarily notice. And this was very interesting because some of these things I didn't even realize as I was doing some of my research. But these are things that can be in the air in your home and be affecting you and you not even realize it. So I'm going to try to say this first one I've been practicing. Trichloroethylene. Trichloroethylene.
That's very good.
I've been practicing. But most of us have printers in our homes. So it's found in printing ink. And so when you're printing, you may not realize that your printer is putting out this particular chemical into the air. Paint, if you're doing a home improvement project and you're painting cabinets or trim work or a new wall, and the same with lacquers and varnishes and things like that, and the paint removers. This particular chemical is found in that too, as well as adhesives. And so the printer was pretty surprising. I think we all know that varnishes and adhesives, typically when you're using those types of things in your home, you notice that there's a scent and that there's probably some, chemicals in there that you don't want to necessarily breathe heavily. But yeah, the printing ink was surprising to me.
Yeah, that's really surprising. I'm actually sitting right beside my printer. So now I'm like kind of side-eyeing it.
need to put a plant next to it. So the second one is formaldehyde. Paper bags. I never would have. I mean, these are so shocking to me. Waxed paper. So if you use wax paper when you cook or bake or things like that, I know it gets kind of scary to think about the chemicals that are in everyday items that we use. Facial tissues, paper towels. I mean, these are things that a lot of people use on the daily basis. Plywood paneling. Most homes have some kind of plywood within them somewhere, somehow. And then synthetic fabrics, which, I kind of figured with, synthetics, there's always, chemicals involved in that. Third one is benzene, and it's used to make plastics. Hopefully, people are continuing to reduce their use of plastics and one-time use plastics and things like that. But resins, lubricants, detergents, and certain drugs, benzene can be found in. Also tobacco smoke, glue, and furniture wax. So furniture wax, I mean, a lot of us, wax our wooden furniture regularly to keep it shiny and bright and new. But you never would think that, some of that smell that comes with that is actually a chemical that is not good for you. Xylene, which is found in rubber. I'm sure everybody's got something in their house that's rubber, leather, tobacco smoke, and vehicle exhaust. Obviously, we know vehicle exhaust is something that you don't want to breathe. But again, some of these things that you wouldn't think were emitting, chemicals into our air. And then ammonia, which, found in your window cleaners, floor waxes, smelling salts. I don't know, how many people have smelling salts in their house, but it contains ammonia. And then, of course, fertilizers. If you're using fertilizer for your garden and things like that, again, when you're putting those out, you don't want to breathe that smoke that comes from that, because it has ammonia in it, which is, these can cause, definite health issues.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of the health issues are right here. So,
right. So, irritation to your eyes, your mouth, your nose, your throat, respiratory irritation, coughing, dizziness, headaches. You may experience some of these things, especially when you're cleaning with certain chemicals, like if you're Windexing or using a window cleaner. That's that chemical in there, that ammonia, that's causing you that irritation or that dizziness or the headache. But also, another disclaimer, always, always, always consult your physician if you experience any of these symptoms, just to ensure there's no underlying health issues that are causing them. But again, the air in our homes could be causing some of these, things as well.
Right. Absolutely. And especially, these days, when you're getting a lot of, I'm probably telling on myself, but when you're getting a lot of home deliveries, you open up that box and, immediately sometimes the smell of chemicals or something will hit you. And it's just, you don't think about how that affect, it eventually dissipates for you, but it's still in the air in your house. So,
and there's still probably ingested it into your system and just didn't realize, and then maybe later on in the day, you kind of have like a little bit of a headache and you think nothing of it, but it could have been your exposure to, those particular chemicals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now the good news is there are plenty of plants out there that are natural air fresheners. So tell us about these, Tarrant.
Yes. So, and the thing about plants is it's bringing the outdoors in. And as long as you have a little sunny spot, most of these plants will do very, very well indoors. And again, they bring the outside in. But even more importantly, they are automatic air fresheners. They will literally clean the air in your home through their own little process. And all of these you can find at your local garden center easily. So we've got the variegated snake plant, a dwarf date palm, Boston ferns, which are very popular. I know in the South, I have them hanging on the outside of my house. I have them inside. I have one right here behind me.
That's the one right beside you. Let's see that real quick because it's beautiful. Yeah. And those are very popular in the South. So
they are. The red edged, and I'm gonna try Dracaena.
Okay. Your guess is as good as mine. I have no idea.
I know the plant. It's a beautiful plant, but that doesn't mean I know exactly how to pronounce it. So, but the good news is these are not the only ones. There are plenty more.
Let's see.
So spider plant. So this is one of my favorite. This is beautiful in a hanging basket because it trails over and it gets little baby plants that kind of shoot off from it that are almost miniature versions of the mama plant. But this is a perfect plant to have in your home and as a hanging plant. Because you wouldn't necessarily think hanging plants in your home, but find a good little corner where there's, some natural light coming through. And this is the perfect plant. Peace lilies. These are also great at getting those toxins out of your air. The Chinese evergreen, chrysanthemum.
Yeah.
All of these are kind of just green plants. Of course, the peace lily has a flower, but chrysanthemum, you wouldn't necessarily think the flowers necessarily, but yeah, it's right there up with all of the rest of being able to kind of purify your air.
Awesome. And we have a quick question from Bill Hawkins.
Okay.
How do these clean the air exactly? Do you know kind of the science behind it, or?
So, without going too deep into that, plants naturally, they pull in carbon dioxide and emit oxygen, and it's just part of their process.
It's kind of like they're a filter.
Right.
Almost.
So it's a filtering process that happens. And so, but without going, and I did do a little research on that, but it went very in depth with the science behind it. But yeah, it's just the process of the plant absorbs the carbon dioxide and emits clean oxygenated air as a part of its process to filter out and to breathe on its own, I guess.
Excellent. Yes. And apparently I liked the chrysanthemums so much, I kept them in this next slide. So sorry, guys, that was my fault, but.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, beyond, there's the flamingo lily and the other peace lily, but yeah, flowers, typically you don't think of having a flower inside. But chrysanthemums will do well. Again, you've got to have some kind of natural sunlight coming through, but they definitely do well. So yeah, I'm glad you added them again, because, it'd be nice to know that you could have some flowers inside that were naturally growing and not just cut flowers that eventually kind of fade away. But yeah, so we mentioned the flamingo lily along with the peace lily. English ivy, that's another kind of like the spider plant that I love as a hanging basket, and the devil's ivy as well, because they will trail and grow. And I remember when I was young, my mother had a plant similar to the devil's ivy, and we had 12-foot ceilings in our home. And I grew up in New Orleans, so we had an older home with, real tall ceilings. And she had it hanging in a hanging basket, hanging from the ceiling, and it literally grew all the way to where it draped down onto the floor. So she take care of them, and all she did every day was with just like a little water bottle, just spritz its leaves and kind of, and that seemed to keep it going and kept it growing really well. Then there's also bamboo palm and weeping fig. These are pretty popular indoor plants. A lot of times you see these in doctors' offices and different office buildings and places like that, because they do really well inside. But they're also air purifiers too.
That's great. And yeah, we actually have here at our home, and I say the we because I don't take responsibility because my husband keeps them alive. But we do have a couple of peace lilies and a bamboo palm, and they really are. They're beautiful and they're very easy to take care of, for in the home. And just, like you said, they add to it, but they also have the bonus of keeping our air fresh. So, all right. So now we've cleaned our air. So now we're going to look more at other ways to clean your home. So we're going to be talking about some recipes for success using all natural ingredients. So let's get started.
Okay. Yeah. So kind of, again, talking about the chemicals in our home, just from everyday things that we wouldn't think of, like, paper towels and printer ink.
Right.
You also have chemicals that you're intentionally filling the air in your home with when you're using some of these cleaners. And so over the years, I have done a lot of research and used a lot, and I use pretty much everything on these lists that you can still clean and you can still disinfect, and you can still get that shine and you can still get that fresh, clean smell, but without the chemicals. So this is definitely one that I keep on the regular, and it's just an all-purpose cleaner. And I will say some of these recipes are exact, but like for this one, I just fill a big mason jar full of vinegar, and then I just shove lemon peels and orange peels in it whenever I have them. And then I continue to add as needed. And every few weeks, I fill up my spray bottle with it, and I just kind of keep going with that. So there's not really an exact science to the all-purpose cleaner. But yeah, you're just basically adding lemon peels or orange peels to vinegar. And
that's awesome.
The vinegar,
now, the vinegar can be kind of smelly in itself, you know. Does do the lemon peels and stuff, the more you add, does it kind of alleviate or let that have that vinegar kind of dissipate?
It does. It
awesome.
does. It takes away that kind of I call it a bitter kind of smell that vinegar can leave behind. Which that dissipates once it dries, the smell goes away. But initially when you're spraying and sometimes I use just plain vinegar. But and my children and my husband can't stand it. They're like, oh my gosh. I was like, give it a minute. As soon as it dries, it's gone. But the vinegar is really good for doing the disinfecting. So when you're wanting something that disinfects, because I think that's what we always want with our cleaning products. We want to kill those germs and so forth. Vinegar is a great source for doing that. The lemon, actually, the lemon and the orange, because it's acidic, it's a grease, it helps with greasy surfaces. So I use this in the kitchen. I use this on my stove. I use this on my countertops. I use it in my sink. And it's great. And you really just need any kind of little spray bottle. And make sure though, when you're draining the juice into your spray bottle, that you use some kind of like filter, because if you get any of the little pieces, it'll clog your spray bottle. So that's just a tip with
good
that.
idea. And what kind of vinegar do you typically use? Do you use like the white vinegar you get at the store?
Yeah, I just purchase any old brand. I mean, I usually get, because vinegar's vinegar. So I just usually get, the off-brand vinegar, the big jug of it, and I just keep a jug because there's other uses for vinegar too. We're going to notice as we move through that there's a common theme here with some of these ingredients. So
absolutely. And then this floor cleaner, I was amazed to see this floor cleaner. That sounds like it would be, I'm going to try that on my kitchen floors because I cannot seem to keep them clean.
Yeah. So this is a great substitute for just, your typical floor cleaner. So you've got the dishwashing liquid, and I would definitely follow this recipe and not just kind of like I said with the other, just add. Because if you get too much dishwashing liquid, then your floors are going to be soapy. If you get too much of, so I would definitely follow this recipe to the T. But yeah, it's vinegar, isopropyl alcohol, which kind of helps as a drying agent. The vinegar is kind of the disinfectant. And then, of course, the alcohol is a disinfectant as well. But alcohol helps to kind of quicken the drying process. Your floors. And then the dish liquid is just kind of that soap you need to kind of, get that, yucky, the dirt and such, and the same thing, you're just filling a spray bottle, spray it directly on the floor and mop it until it's dry. Do not use it on wood floors. I have, now in my home, our home was built in the 50s, and we have, most of the home has the original hardwood floors. And of course, they've been sealed and so forth. So we're very careful about what we use on those. But I do have, and I know a lot of people have this in their homes now too. We were trying to match with the floors. We had some things we did in our kitchen and our den, and we got the waterproof laminate wood floors, and they just like wood. You could use it on those. But hardwood floors or anything, I would definitely discourage. I would just not. You don't want to strip them because then if you do that, then there's a whole other process you got to go through to get those floors back shiny
Exactly.
Like you want.
Absolutely. And we had another question. I think this is a no, but you can answer. Do you dilute the vinegar at all? Or do you just use, like, when you say 1 cup of vinegar, you just use 1 cup of vinegar? And
I do not dilute the vinegar. Sometimes when I spray, like if we've been say cooking chicken or something that is, you know, a bigger concern as far as contamination and things like that, I will put straight vinegar on my countertops. And so
okay.
I mean, you can if you want, but there's really not a need to do so.
Okay, that's great to know. All right, so moving on, we've got some more recipes here. And again, folks, we will upload all of these into the comments on the Facebook broadcast of this after the show. So tell us about these, Tarrant.
Okay, so again, here's this common theme here with vinegar. The same thing, and Bill, this is back to your question about diluting the vinegar. I don't, and especially, you know, when I'm using just straight vinegar. Sorry, I got distracted by a question. When I just use the straight vinegar, again, the smell goes away after a while, but I wipe my sinks and countertops down with it, you know, regularly. You can also use it as a window or a mirror cleaner. And again, straight vinegar is fine. And newspaper is something, as opposed to paper towels. Newspaper, which I don't know how many people get the regular newspaper anymore now that everything's online. So it may be less of a chance that you've got an old newspaper lying around at home. But, you know, you can use newspaper as opposed to paper towels to clean your windows and your mirrors. Moving on. So now we're at our wood furniture. And this could work for wood floors, but I would not recommend it because the olive oil and the vegetable oil will make it a very slick surface. So 2 cups olive oil or vegetable oil with a little bit of lemon, and you just use a soft cloth, and it can help smooth out scratches in light colored wood, and shine your furniture naturally. And furniture polish and furniture varnish was one of those things in our list before that emits chemicals into our air. So, and then with stainless steel surfaces, you can also use olive oil on them as well. Just kind of buff them out, and they'll give it that sheen and shine that we look for on our wood furniture and our stainless steel. Talking about the wood. Okay, so what would you recommend for wood floors is what Carol Harris asked. So far, I have not found anything yet that as far as natural, because we try to take really good care of our original wood floors in our house. There are some really great natural products on the market. One of my favorite is, can I say a brand? Maybe not. One of my favorite is, I'll tell you the scent. The scent is almond. And it's a floor cleaner that I use on my hardwood floors. But it's one of the brands that is easily found. It's at all your, you know.
Target, Publix. I use the same stuff. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay,
so,
yes.
And we can't say brands. We're not allowed to, but it is easy to find, Carol. Some of those naturally based cleaners, wood floor cleaners. They probably just have a little extra stuff that's not as easy to come by for us, but they are plant based. So
they are plant based. So I would, because that's what I use. I mean, I use all the natural products for everything else. But, you know, I want to maintain my original hardwood floors from the 50s. And so I kind of, you know, I use that product that smells like almonds. And they have other scents too, but I tell you, the almond scent, it's
really nice.
It's nice.
Yeah. So, and you can find it very easily at Publix or Target or, you know, any of your stores like that. So, you know, grocery stores. So, but it is
big box stores, local garden centers even carry it now. I've
Yeah.
noticed it's pretty easy to find.
Yeah. So excellent. Well, thank you for that. That was a great question too. I'm like you, Tarrant. My floors are about 100 years old. So, and they're wood, heart pine. So it's it's one of those tricky things. So
Yeah.
But here we are. Now we're talking about bathroom cleaners, and these are really cool. So
yeah. So it's kind of funny, with this, you've got to put a little bit of elbow grease into it. You can't just spray it, leave it, forget it, and wash it away, which honestly, and I have tried those spray it and come back and rinse it products, and they don't seem to ever work for me.
Right.
So I've never not had to, put a little umph in it and scrub. So, so, I don't even try those products anymore, and I'd rather use the natural, anyway. So the thing about this is also, and I think everybody at some point in time gets that yucky, moldiness in their showers, around the grout and things like that. The thing about it is if you do this on a regular basis, then you shouldn't have a problem with that. And so tub scrub. And that's one of the ones I know it's a job to get in there, but the baking soda acts as the abrasive to help scrub away any, greasy, grimy, whatever that gets all yucky in our tubs, soap scum, things like that. The lemon helps to break it down as well because it's acidic. And it also helps to kind of disinfect. You could even come behind and just spray just plain vinegar for a second disinfecting after you did this. But this particular tub scrub is to really get rid of the soap scum and stuff that builds up in our, our tubs and our showers over time. But you just sprinkle the baking soda in the tub, and you can use your lemon as a scrubber. And then you can squeeze it gently as you go to add the juice. So then you're not even really needing any other tools but a box of baking soda and your lemon. What you can do is also come back or use an old toothbrush instead of going out and buying, a fancy scrubber or things like that. Just when you throw out your toothbrushes to replace with new, hold on to those because they're great at using, for cleaning, like especially around the grout in your tub and things like that. So, and then you just rinse when you're done.
That's a great idea. And I love that you're using the lemon as the scrubber instead of like a sponge, which of course we know it's basically you use it once or twice and then it's immediately growing stuff in it. And the other good thing about that is the lemon, what I usually do with like leftover lemon halves and stuff like that, I put them in my garbage disposal in the sink, and that helps kind of, keep it fresh and keep it from smelling. So
yes.
Yeah. Awesome. And then the toilet bowl cleaner, that's a great idea too. The baking soda. Now, does the baking soda and the vinegar, do they kind of get a little foamy?
Yes.
When you mix them? Yeah.
So don't be alarmed if you use this particular method to clean your toilet bowl. Now you still may have to. I still use a toilet bowl scrubber.
Right.
When I do this. But don't be alarmed. You have not created some kind of crazy chemical reaction. Well, it is a chemical reaction, but it is a harmless chemical reaction. So what I typically do is I flush the toilet, and while that water has gone out, I sprinkle the baking soda all around inside of it, and then I add that vinegar, and it's going to bubble up and foam. But that's really good because that chemical reaction is helping to break down any ickiness that's in your toilet. And then I just come behind with, the toilet scrubber and just kind of scrub everything and flush the toilet, and you're good to go.
Excellent. Excellent. And real quick, we have a comment from Tawana Wright. She says these are great tips. And yeah, thanks, Tawana. I think they are too. And all credit goes to Tarrant because I knew none of this before now. So, so moving on, we've got more bathroom information. And I really like these because the shower curtain cleaner, that's great.
Yeah. So this is one of those things that unless you have a shower that has the built-in glass doors or something like that, we typically all have, some kind of plastic shower liner in our bathrooms. And plastic was also one of those things that emits a chemical. So throw you a house plant in there in the bathroom. But but yeah, so we typically, when they get nasty and grimy and yucky, because they eventually are going to, just with soap scum and things like that, we throw them away and buy a new one. Well, you don't have to do that. You can throw them in with a load of towels and add 1 cup of vinegar and your detergent and wash as you normally do. Do not put it in the dryer because it is plastic and it is gonna, it could melt, and then you'd have even bigger issues on your hand than a dirty shower curtain. But after you take it out, just hang it back up to dry. And then to keep buildup from happening, wipe it down daily with vinegar and allow it to air dry. Or you can, and they even have products on the market like shower spray, something that you spray every day in your shower after you get out to keep all that kind of buildup from happening. All you need is a spray bottle of vinegar. Does the same thing.
Perfect. And then the tile cleaner, it's just, again, good old baking soda.
Yep. And just, you can form just use the baking soda, add a little bit of water. You could even add a little bit of vinegar. And it forms like a paste. And like I said, use an old toothbrush or a scrub brush, whichever, and just scrub away until those stains are gone, and then just rinse it.
Excellent. That's so awesome. And so we're going to be talking a little more about some more uses for vinegar because it is the hero of clean. So, and I've done a couple of these before. So
yes, vinegar is definitely a hero of clean in your house. And I'm going to make a comment on that, or share a comment. Carol Harris said that if you leave that vinegar and baking soda in your toilet overnight, it can clean a really nasty toilet. So if you've been out of town for a couple of weeks and you come home, and even though nobody's been using it,
they'll have water stains and all that.
They'll have water stains and just it's a toilet, so there's gonna there's gonna be bacteria that grows and things like that. This is one of the grossest episodes we've done, I think, but we've talked a lot about toilets. But yeah, so Carol mentioned, and that is true, Carol. Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, if you leave it overnight, it will work overnight, and you'll have to put a little less elbow grease into cleaning that really nasty toilet. So thanks again for that, Carol. But yeah, vinegar. All right. So a lot of times we don't think about our coffee makers. So, constant use, we see, what our coffee pots begin to look like, and we clean those and all of that. But sometimes we forget about the inside of the machine. Well, and you're thinking, well, it's just water I'm putting in there. But sometimes, the coffee may bubble over a little bit, and you may not realize that grounds have gotten down in that water reservoir until you wonder why there's coffee grounds in your cup of coffee. But it happens. But you want to, even though you're just using water, and I'm going to mention this too, because I read this the other day. So many of us are using the stainless steel water bottles and things like that. And we think, well, the only thing we're putting in them is water. You need to clean those on the regular and not rinse them out. And you could even use vinegar to do that as well. But yeah, our coffee maker, you want to definitely clean your coffee maker. I try to remember to do mine about once a month. But just equal parts vinegar and water. And Bill, this is where I would probably dilute the vinegar, because he asked that question before. This is where I would definitely dilute the vinegar, because it's kind of working through your coffee machine's mechanisms, and so you probably want to dilute it just a little bit. But equal parts vinegar and water, and you can use your coffee pot and just fill it up that way. Put it in, turn on the brew cycle like you normally would. And then halfway through, you can turn off the coffee maker and let the solution sit for about an hour. And then turn it back on again to complete the cycle. And then run through. This is very, very important. Once you do the cleaning process, you want to do a couple of more cycles with just clean water to rinse any vinegar out of that, or your coffee might be a little bit more bitter than you want it to be.
Right. And I do that pretty regularly too. And when I first started doing it years ago, I did it the first time I did it, it was pretty gross to see what came out of the tubing of my coffee maker. So highly recommend doing this every now and then.
Yeah, you don't realize
No.
and it's something people, typically probably don't think about, because you're thinking, well, I'm just running water through it. I mean, we take our little filters out and clean those, but you don't realize. And water, I mean,
well, it's heat and it's moisture, and that always breeds bacteria, mildew, especially in those dark tubes and stuff that you don't see. Yeah. So can be pretty icky.
Yeah, I bet a lot of people are going to be cleaning their coffee makers today. What do you think, Dorothy?
Sorry, but sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
Clean your coffee makers.
Yes. So this is another one that we probably don't think about, and that is our dishwasher. But again, there are tubes and reservoirs and things like that, and if you think about it, think about the sprayers. Well, the water's constantly spraying through there, and you're going to get buildup and bacteria and things like that. So think about that cleaning your dishes when the inside of where the water is coming out of isn't necessarily as clean as it should be. Right. And I bet people are going to do this with their dishwasher today too. But you want to disinfect the interior of your dishwasher. And I just use plain vinegar. So back to Bill's comment, do you dilute? I don't with the dishwasher. I just do like it says. I pour a half a cup into the little reservoir and I run it on an empty cycle.
And we have a quick question, and I think you already answered this, but does it matter if you use white vinegar or apple cider vinegar?
I always just use white vinegar.
Yeah.
Typically apple cider vinegar. I know the kind I buy has what they call the mother in it, and it's
got the sediment and stuff.
The sediment at the bottom. I've never even thought about using the apple cider vinegar. I just use plain white vinegar. And most of all of the recipes that I've ever seen, over the years and years, it always says plain white vinegar.
Okay, great. And then to clean the drains. And I've done this before. And one of the things that I've done along with this is I'll put some baking soda down the drain, kind of like you do with your toilet. Put some baking soda down the drain and then pour my vinegar down, and it kind of does that foam up, but it kind of helps keep the drains clear and keep that buildup out too. So that's something I've learned.
Yes, and I actually I flush with hot water as opposed to cold water. I don't think it really matters, but and some of these recipes are from about 10 or 15 years ago. I did a workshop on natural cleaning. So I pulled this out of stuff from long ago. But I always flush with hot water just because I think it helps with any kind of greasiness that maybe builds up in your drains. But yes, you can do plain vinegar or the baking soda. You can do that as well, and it helps. And you can flush with cold water or you can flush with hot water. I think in my kitchen sink, I typically always use hot water.
Yeah, good plan. And here we've got even more about vinegar.
Again, the hero of clean. And let me just say, vinegar is not expensive. So if you think about all the things that we've talked about that we all clean on a regular basis, think of all the products that are out there that you're buying that are specific to the bathroom, specific to the kitchen, specific to your coffee pot or your dishwasher, when you don't necessarily have to have all of those products, and then you can avoid some of the chemicals, and it's so much more economical just to buy a $3 gallon jug of vinegar that's going to last you, a month or two and will work to clean almost every surface in your house.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you can find it at the dollar store in a big old jug too. So, I mean, it's super, super cheap, but, again, here's some more great, things, glassware and moldy walls and the steam iron. I'm going to have to try that. That sounds interesting. I've never tried the steam iron before, but that makes perfect sense. It's kind of like a coffee maker. So.
Yeah. If you've ever had the horrible experience of ironing something and all of a sudden you're looking and you're like, where are these little weird spots coming from? And then all of a sudden you realize it's stuff inside of your iron that's built up over time because of the steam. And then you've ruined whatever it was you were ironing to wear. And it's usually when you're in a hurry. And then,
of course.
Yes. So this is great. And it gets rid of the mineral deposits and things like that. And you just fill that iron with the vinegar and water, press the steam button, and let it steam out. And then do another process with water and let it steam out and empty it and rinse it. And you're good to go. The glassware is kind of the same thing with windows and mirrors. It helps to eliminate streaks. You mentioned the moldy walls. That it's great for walls. Shower heads. This is something else.
Yeah.
We look up at our shower head and all of a sudden there's these little black looking speck things like, in all the little holes. And you're thinking, okay, that can't be, clean. So you put it in a plastic grocery bag and then just tie the knot over the neck of the shower head and cure it. And let it soak overnight, and then turn your shower on in the morning, and it rinses everything away.
Awesome. That is so cool. And I actually use vinegar. I use about a cup of vinegar in my wash, especially when I'm washing like gym clothes or really kind of stinky clothes. And it helps kind of get that odor and it's bacteria that makes it smell like that. So, it kind of gets that it's just a little extra to the laundry detergent. Helps get everything extra clean and smelling a little nicer. So vinegar's great. I use it all the time. Yeah.
And in your wash, in addition to that, Dorothy, it will help brighten whites.
Oh, good to know. Good to know. So that's great because some of my towels are white and that's wonderful.
So instead of bleach, vinegar, and it'll help brighten your whites.
Excellent. Excellent. And so finally, we're going to be talking about another miracle cleaner is salt, which this was kind of news to me, but it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So another very economical, easy to get, natural cleaning agent. Of course, glassware, the salt won't scratch it with a scouring pad. So if you've got some really hard stains on some of your glassware, maybe a wine glass that's over the years, from red wine or whatever, salt will help get rid of those stains. Greasy pots and pans, you can sprinkle salt in your pan and it'll absorb the grease, because there's nothing grosser than trying to with a paper towel get grease out of a pan where you've maybe baked chicken or something, and you've got that greasy residue on the bottom. Put the salt on there and the salt will absorb it, and then you can dump out that without having to try to clean it out with a paper towel or whatever. I wouldn't use it on nonstick cookware though, because nonstick cookware does have a special layer on it that the abrasion can take that off. Same thing with spills in your oven. If you've got a spill, salt can soak that up instead of trying to wipe that spill out, and then just soak it up with the salt. When the oven's cool, you can easily wipe it out with a damp sponge or a dish rag. Same thing with teacups and coffee mugs and things like that. Our coffee mugs, especially if you've got white ones, over time, coffee does stain them. Salt, lemon peel, same thing. Scrub the stains away. Wooden counters and tables, if you've got grease splatters or things like that, again, you use the salt to absorb and wait a bit, and then you can just brush the salt away. So yeah, definitely a good grease absorber and good for scrubbing away stains on things that you wouldn't want to use something that was really too rough and you don't want to scratch, your surfaces.
Right.
It works.
Right. Awesome. That is so great. Well, Tarrant, thank you for all of these great tips. And again, folks, I'm going to put these slides in the comments a few minutes after the broadcast ends. Yes, go for it.
I have one more thing to add.
Yeah.
So with these cleaners, if you want a more herby kind of smell, forgot to add this. You can cut herbs out of your garden: mint, rosemary, basil, because there's so many cleaners on the market that are scented with mint or basil. That's the scent. You can add just a sprig to, like, your jar under the counter that has your vinegar and your lemon peels. You can add rosemary to it and let it sit, and then it'll infuse with that smell as well. So then you've got a whole new different yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, any kind of herbs like that would, and I've seen a lot of them have lemon sage, is the big smell these days. So, that would be perfect for your lemon and vinegar, your lemon peels and vinegar. So add some sprigs of sage and there you go. You've got the latest cleaning scent. So yeah. Well, great, Tarrant. That's another great idea. And thank you so much. And folks, we're going to be taking a short summer break. So we'll be back August 2nd. But until then, if you have any questions or you want to show us your garden, please feel free. Give Tarrant a shout out on her email here. And I am going to put my email in the comments. If you want to send pictures of your garden, we'd love to see them. And while we're on our break, we can even post those. So let me type there we go. So you can just send directly to me, send me some pictures. Carol says, thanks, ladies, for great tips. Well, thank you for joining us, Carol. We really appreciate it. And thank you for your tips, too. And folks, that is it for us until August 2nd. So we want to make sure that you enjoy your summer and stay safe. And we will see you in August. Tarrant, thanks so much. We'll see you in August.
Thanks, Dorothy. Bye, everybody. Thanks.